Well, hello again. This is Mike Siver with the Mike Siver Show and Repairing Broken Adults. And this is my friend Ernest Spencer, who's the co-host of the show and the guest tonight. And I've written a couple of books, as you've seen on the front there. One is Why Did You Do That? Or Why Did I Do That? And the other one is What Role Did I Play in my life? What goes on in my life? What role did I play in that? And we were just talking about on the last show about environmental awareness and how children today are growing up not really so much aware of the environment. They're talking about the earth and the sky and the trees and the oceans and the Antarctic that's melting and stuff. Children today are more concerned about surviving in their own environment.
In their own neighborhood.
In their own neighborhood. If I can live through this neighborhood, then I might think about the environment tomorrow.
If I could live through this neighborhood, I might live to 30 and get a job.
Yeah. And it's a big concern that we're trying to address at the local level.
And we were talking on the break. We're trying, I've run Cub Scout packs before. That's the past history. But my son-in-law came and asked me, would I help him start a Cub Scout pack again? And I told him, yeah, I would do it. And I started reaching out to some people I knew, that had done the same thing. And I talked to Dexter Mitchell, who's been on my show. He's been on this show too, and he's been on my show. But he did Urban Scouts. And to show you the difference in not being racist in white neighborhoods, or even in our neighborhood years ago, we wore a Cub Scout uniform or Boy Scout uniform, they respected it. Now they laugh at the kids. So they created a whole nother kind of mock uniform where the kids only wear t-shirts and they say urban scouting, and they try and do different things because they know, like Mike just said, there's different things on these children's mind. We do try and do gardens with them and stuff like that, but they have different things on their mind than, like Mike said, he grew up in the country. I moved to the country. When I moved here and married my ex-wife, her father had 400-some acres in Finville area. And for the first time my life that I could remember, I could walk around, I could walk down the fields, walk down the road, and not worrying about somebody hitting me in my head and trying to rob me, or somebody coming up with a gun or trying to shoot me. So it's definitely a different environment.
Well, we're trying to figure out how, with urban groups or community efforts,
Right.
and through another organization that we've started called No Fences, we're trying to get the community involved with each other and aware of what's going on. And not that we want everybody running around writing down everybody's license plate numbers
right.
and calling up the cops over everything, but we need to start protecting ourselves and looking after ourselves, looking after each other. And we don't have all the answers, but we want to have the beginning. So Ernest and I and several other groups of people have gotten together, and we're trying to start some community awareness programs to bring attention to the feeling in the environment.
Right.
And we want children to be able to be environmentally aware of the earth, not just their block,
Right.
not just their little corner of the street. And it's a shame we're at that level.
It is.
Now, this topic has been beat to death and talked about for years and years and years, and we're aware of that. And a lot of people are tired of hearing about it. But it's not going to change, and the conversation is not going to change until something gets done. And the only way it can be done are by the people wanting to have it done and finally get tired of it. The young adults today, as Ernest said in the last show, are the products of their parents that started this.
Right.
And maybe their parents before them. It
Yep.
depends on what neighborhood you're in, how far it goes back.
Right.
But it can change, it can stop, because it wasn't always like this.
It wasn't.
It wasn't like this all the time. And I know there's more people, and we're getting more crowded, and the areas are getting more desperate for a lot of different feelings and fittings that we can try and work with, but we should be able to do this.
And it's exactly what Mike said. When I was growing up, when Mike was growing up, your family might have 5 generations of somebody working at General Motors, 4 generations of doctors, 3 generations of lawyers, 5 members in your family that work for the same company. Now we have kids that are 4th and 5th generation gang members.
Yep.
And that's sad that that's the new trend, that we'd rather be in a gang in our community. And I understand it, because I did it when I was younger. I- But we weren't violent like, we fought, we fought. It wasn't guns, it wasn't sticks, it was just a fight. And, I real quickly, a long time ago, my son, his son came up here, he's big enough, my grandson's big enough to play football now. So we go to a football game up around, other side, right around Jackson. But anyway, my son and this guy are sitting next to each other, and they're cheering for the kids. And we go to the concession stand, and my son turns to me and said, "Dad, me and that guy used to beef all the time and fight each other. And one time we shot at each other because we lived on different sides of town. Now he's sitting in the stands cheering for the same team and each other's children." So it changes as we get older, but we have to realize, y'all have to realize that when you're young, that those changes are gonna come. A lot of things that you argue and fight over is not that important.
And we know all this now because we've lived through it.
Live through it.
We're older, and I've lived in foreign countries that have the same issues with their neighborhoods. And when we live in a foreign country, you're told by the authorities there, it's safe for you to go here, it's not safe for you to go there. If you're here, when it gets dark, you need to go over there.
Right.
And they tell you, and it's just not America.
Right.
It's worldwide. And it's getting worse, it's not getting better. And how do we change the attitude and the feelings? We encourage people to come on the show and talk about this. And I've written these two books, and these two books help understand what we're going through. It's like one of the chapters in the book is called Sponge, that when you put a sponge, and I was gonna bring that,
Right,
and I forgot to do it. Yep,
No
I'll do it next week, I promise.
Demonstration.
I'll take it when I get home.
Okay.
When you put a sponge in water, the sponge will absorb whatever the water is. If it's black, if it's black, if it's white, if it's white, if it's clean, it's clean, if it's dirty, it's dirty.
Right, and the sponge absorbs it.
And when the sponge is full, when you squeeze it, that's what's gonna come out.
Right.
It's not gonna change. It's gonna be whatever it absorbed. Children are the same.
Right.
Young children will absorb whatever environment they're in, and when they grow up, that's what's gonna come back out of them.
My daughter is studying to be a therapist, my oldest daughter, and I have a 3-year-old now, great-granddaughter. The granddaughter I was talking about at 18, had the baby at 15. And her mother's very confrontational, and so is my daughter. They're both confrontational. Not necessarily with families, but they had this attitude that you gotta scream at a kid and holler at a kid and da-da-da-da. So just over the 2 years that she's been around them, she's become confrontational. She expects confrontation for them, so she gets her own little confrontation, crosses her head, crosses her arms and say, "I don't care, I'm not gonna do it." And my older daughter said, "Dad, try this." And we were at a restaurant, and my daughter did it. She just give her a minute. And we're gonna keep on doing what we're doing and eating, and give her a minute. Then she asked for the spaghetti again, and my daughter finally gave it to her after she told the waitress, "Thank you." And that was like a month ago. And I've been doing this, and she has stopped with me. I don't confrontate with her no more. She came in my room the other day. She said, "I want so-and-so and so-and-so." I said, "You can't have it right now." I said, "Take this banana, go down and sit at the table, and when you come back, I'll give you candy." She said, "But I want the candy." I said, "I want you to eat the banana." And she walked out and went downstairs and ate the banana. But my daughter would have screamed at her and told her, "You got to eat the banana now," or her mother would have tried to put her in the bed. So I found when I don't create the conflict,
Yep.
it doesn't come out.
Well, it's the same thing I talk about when parents, and I've done it myself, and I've helped parents do it, is that when you go out to a restaurant, and you're sitting there with young kids, and they want what they want.
Right.
I want this, or I want my dessert now. We haven't even started eating yet. And they'll go on about it. And the parents, in order to stop the kid from doing it, will give in to them, because they're making a scene in the restaurant.
I got a story for that one. The little kid I was talking about, she loves broccoli. Because I eat a lot of, my stomach is messed up. I get a lot of fresh fruit and vegetables and just eat them. She loves broccoli. She dips it and eats it. She loves broccoli. Hates cauliflower, loves broccoli. We went to the restaurant. So the lady came around and asked us what we want, and she turned around and told the lady, "I want broccoli." And the lady just looked at us kind of strange. And then she turned again, and she's only 3, and said, "I need cheese on it." Because she loves broccoli and cheese. But I didn't argue with her, I didn't fuss with her. I told her, we didn't come to the restaurant at the right time for broccoli. They don't serve broccoli for breakfast. Kind of broccoli is for dinner. My daughter was getting ready to say, shut up, you can't have nothing, you're gonna eat this, and I just said, there's a different time when they serve broccoli.
Yep.
You don't eat broccoli for breakfast, you can have pancakes, you can have this, so she's not confrontational. If you don't give her confrontation and just keep your voice level, then she stays level.
Well, as I was talking about before, when you in a restaurant with parents with children that are a little older than that, and they want what they want.
Yeah,
And this is where sometimes parenting is hard, and we got to be prepared to do it as parents. But my suggestion is, when it gets to that stage and they're making a scene, is you get up and leave. Take the kids and go home.
okay,
And if you do that, the kids they can make all they want in the car. Scream, holler, rant, rave, shout. You're going to go home now, we're going to have what we have at home.
right,
Next time we come out to the restaurant, if you sit down and behave yourself, we'll
Exactly.
have something good to eat.
Right.
If you act up again, we're going home again.
I understand.
And it takes an effort, sometimes a hard effort on the parents' part, to untrain what we've trained them to be like. And this book covers all those different, how do you want to call it, family dynamic situations.
Yes, that's the exact, great term,
Right, family dynamic situations, and it's got 8 different chapters that break it down. But we're talking about environmental awareness on this one, and we have taught our children that they need to be, to protect themselves, to stay in groups, in packs. And it's a shame because when you're in a pack or in a group, you then have what they call a mob mentality.
Yep,
And we're strong because we're in a group.
right,
Individually, I'm not gonna fight anybody.
right,
Because they might beat me up.
right.
But when I got 5 or
You
6
got 5 or
friends,
6 people behind you.
they can help. And that's been accepted.
Mm-hmm.
That's been accepted as the norm.
Yeah.
And you got 5 people, we got 7 people, so we're gonna do what we want. We gotta break that back down.
Yep, because it's gotten to the extreme where in inner cities, they're killing each other over standing on their corner, because that's their dope corner, that's their
Yep,
corner.
yep.
And you go stand on that corner, you might not even be selling drugs if they think you are. You've invaded their territory. We talk about 13 and 14-year-old, 15-year-old young boys killing each other.
Well, and there was a thing on the news today I saw where there's a young girl in her father's barbershop, sitting inside, or her grandfather's barbershop, whatever. A car drove by. They had a beef with the tattoo parlor next door,
Okay,
and they shot in the window of the barbershop.
And killed-
And believe it or not, 2 bullets went right past the girl's head, on each side of her,
yeah,
and never touched her. But she got glass all over her, and it was all on film because the guy's got a camera inside his shop.
okay, yeah. I'm gonna have to look that up.
And it was on the news, you'll see it on the news. And we resolve things now with guns.
Yeah.
No more fighting. Everybody wants to be respected. Everybody wants to be treated as human and treated right. And now we think our only way to get that is I've got a bigger gun than you. I'm not smarter than you.
I just got a bigger gun.
And when I go to the jail, I'm a chaplain in the jail. And what is sad to see how many of the young inmates that I go in there, because I bring prayers for them to read. When we finish each little session in front of each cell, we read a prayer, and the young people can't read the prayer because they can't read. And it's embarrassing to them,
Right.
embarrassing for us to say, well, let us help you.
And you know, we only got a minute left or so, but that's a big part of the mentality I was talking about.
Yep.
For anyone that don't know, real quick, how they determine how many beds they're gonna need in prison 20 years from now
Wow.
is the number of kids that fail 4th grade. They figure if a child can't pass the 4th grade, that they're gonna end up in jail. And that's how they determine how many beds they have in the prison.
And it's surprisingly accurate,
It is.
which is horrible.
It is truly bad.
And we also are able to, on a limited basis at this stage, offer some tutoring and some education benefits for young people who decide, because it's a choice, it's a choice you make, I'm not gonna be stuck in this lifestyle anymore. I need to improve the quality of my life. How can I do that? And that's partly through education,
Right.
partly through skills or trades. So got about 15 seconds left. I want to thank you very much, Ernest, for tonight.
Thank you,
And
Mike.
it's been an emotional night.
It has.
Thank you very much.